You meet someone new. 3 seconds pass. You already have an opinion. Trustworthy or not, friendly or not, safe or not. You didn't ask for this opinion. It just arrived, fully formed, before you even shook their hand. You'd like to think you're more careful than that. You'd like to think you wait, you observe, you gather evidence before you decide what someone is like. But your brain already decided, and it decided in less time than it takes to read this sentence. Here's the strange part. The answer to why this happens is stranger than you think. Because this isn't a flaw in your thinking. It isn't a bias you picked up from a bad experience or a biased society. It's older than society, older than language, older than the idea of a stranger walking up and shaking your hand at all. Let's start with what actually happens in those 3 seconds. In the early 2000s, a psychologist named Alexander Todorov, working at Princeton, ran an experiment that changed how scientists understood first impressions. He showed people photographs of unfamiliar faces, just faces, no names, no backstories, no context. And he asked a simple question: how trustworthy does this person look? People answered instantly. No hesitation, as if the photo itself contained the answer. Then Todorov did something clever. He cut the viewing time down. Half a second, then a quarter of a second, then a tenth of a second, 100 milliseconds, faster than a blink. The judgments didn't change. People rated the same face as trustworthy or untrustworthy, whether they stared at it for 5 seconds or saw it for 100 milliseconds. Giving them more time to think didn't make the judgment more accurate. It just made people more confident in the same snap decision they'd already made. Think about what that means. Your brain isn't slowly building a verdict about a stranger's face. It's retrieving one, almost instantly, like flipping a switch, not turning a dial. So where does the switch come from? This is where the story gets interesting, because the answer isn't really about faces at all. It's about danger. Your brain didn't evolve to make friends. Not first, anyway. It evolved to keep you alive. And for almost your entire history as a species, staying alive meant answering one question correctly, over and over, every single day. Is this person a threat? Not, do I like them? Not, are they interesting? Just, threat or not. For hundreds of thousands of years, humans lived in small groups. You knew everyone in your group. A stranger showing up at the edge of your camp wasn't a curiosity. It was a risk that had to be evaluated immediately, because waiting to gather more evidence could get you killed. There was no time for a careful, balanced assessment. There was only time for a fast one. So evolution built you a shortcut. A set of instant readings on a stranger's face, tuned to answer exactly one question fast: friend or foe. And here's the part that should genuinely surprise you. That shortcut still runs today, even though almost none of the strangers you meet are actual threats. You walk past someone on the street. You meet a new coworker. You see a stranger's photo on an app. None of these situations require a survival judgment, but your brain doesn't know that. It's still running software built for a world of small tribes and unknown outsiders at the edge of the firelight. It sees a face. It runs the old program. It hands you a verdict about trust before your conscious mind even catches up. Todorov's research went further and found something almost mechanical about it. 2 features seem to drive most of the trustworthiness judgment: how much the eyebrows suggested anger or warmth, and how much the mouth resembled a smile or a frown. That's it. 2 shapes, largely responsible for whether a stranger's face reads as safe or dangerous. Which means people can be born with resting facial features that make strangers instinctively distrust them for no reason connected to their actual character at all. Some faces just happen to sit closer to what ancient threat detection flags as dangerous. It has nothing to do with who they are. Doesn't that unsettle you a little? That your first impression of someone might say more about the geometry of their eyebrows than about anything they've actually done. There's a second layer to this, and it comes from a different researcher entirely. In the 1990s, psychologist Nalini Ambady, working with Robert Rosenthal, ran a study that's now famous in psychology circles. She showed people silent video clips of college professors teaching. Just a few seconds. No sound. Total strangers to the professors watching a few seconds of body language with the volume off. Then she asked those viewers to rate the professors on things like competence and warmth. She compared those snap ratings based on seconds of silent video to something much slower and more serious: real end-of-semester evaluation.